Okay, should we just start with distractions and
Sure. Intentions and distractions?
what was the other?
Intentions.
Intentions and distractions, yeah. Let me start today. And so for today's meeting, my intention is to try to get all the issues with one champion. We're going to share the issues on the GitHub, all the legal issues that we have open, at least those that are most critical. And distractions, now that I have my volume working and my sound working, I shouldn't have any distractions. So I'll pass it to Griff.
Yeah, my intention is to share some of the results of the previous issues that I was working on in this group, if there's space for that, and especially what Maria from Aragon was saying, and also help shepherd the make sure if people want to take on issues that they feel like they have the agency to know what to work on, and maybe even support later on the week if they need support on taking on some issues. And distractions, no, none. I'm pretty excited about this call. Been working on legal a lot this week, so. I guess to give updates on the common stack side too, if that's needed. And I'll pass it to Zeptimus.
Hello. My intentions for the call is recording this, so it's on the YouTube channel, and also I come to learn. I think this group is awesome. Just you come here and you learn like what's going on, and I'll pass it to Craig.
I'm really here just to listen. I was here to learn about all things legal, but I'm also now here to learn about how you guys are professional GitHub issue users and distributors and delegators. I'll just watch you guys in action. Thanks. Distractions, none currently. And I'll pass to Anya.
Hello. So my intention, first off, to say congrats and a gratitude towards whomever created this GitHub. Extraction are my here with all the focus. And I'll pass it to Santiago. Do you want to ready?
I think Dr. Lau is the one missing here.
All right.
I don't have any real intentions, but I'd like to sort of start closing off all the sort of minor or sort of low priority issues, so that we can sort of focus on the key ones. Because my understanding is that there's a fairly tight deadline at December, so we need to start focusing on the key issues that holding back the schedule. Distractions, I sort of started a new role in a startup foundation, so this is really what I'm doing is basically in what spare time I've got.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Lau. And Marina just joined. Marina, we're doing a quick intentions and distractions. Oh, and Marina's gone. See if she pops back in. Well, just while we give Marina a second.
I think I'm gonna have to reset also because I don't see the screens on my computer. I can hear you, but I don't see the videos. Let me get out and get in real quick here.
Okay. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate what Dr. Lau said. We pronounce your name Dr. Lau. Is that right? Is that right?
Just call me Lawrence.
Lawrence? Fantastic. Thank you, Lawrence. I think Lawrence really hit it on the head there with like, we need to figure out how to prioritize which issues are most important, and then make sure that those get tackled this week, the ones that are most important for this week, and then move forward with being okay with some of the issues not being tackled. because not all of them are the highest priority. Marina.
Hi.
Hi. So we're just doing a quick intentions and distractions. So like your intentions for the call and then any distractions that you might have during the call.
Okay. The intention is to, I'm kind of still learning because this is my second call. So to kind of learn and understand the process. And the distraction, I'm not sure yet.
Nice.
There are a lot of them.
Well, Santi, do you want to lead or do you want me to try to take over?
I totally agree because I'm having many issues with my Discord and I may have to jump out. So I would say just start with the board from GitHub. So I'd like to go over all the issues and get everyone understand what they are and try to find an owner or a champion for those that still are lacking one.
Okay. Well, I think just on that note, like I want to gauge people's excitement on taking on issues really quick before we try to assign issues to you, because obviously like Zeptimus and Craig, you know, you guys are in all the working groups. Maybe you don't want to take on legal issues. Maybe we can just do a quick round of like your own expectations on how many hours you think you would be willing to put in to pushing the legal forward for the TE Commons this week in an asynchronous way. So how many hours do you think you'd be into it? And if there's any topics that you want to especially like think about or work on. So I'll model. I'm able to put in about 5 to 10 hours this week pushing the legal forward, maybe even a little bit more because some of the stuff that I have to do, that there's no one else that can really push some of the common stack association issues forward with Chris. And then also the working with some of my friends who happen to have a special expertise on some of this experience, like Maria from Aragon. So I'm going to put in like 5 to 10 hours and I'll take issues related with Aragon and common stack stuff. I'll pass it to Santi.
So to try to get everything rolling, so we make sure that we are ready for the hatching phase, which is right now what's got more pressure, and at least have those documents in line to the next phases, which will be the bonding curve once the hatching phase is already finished. And I'll pass it to Anya.
I think I can take it. I have time actually to put time, but the thing is I don't know what should I do, if that makes sense. So if there's something like simple, like someone like me can do it, I'd be glad to help. So when we see the issues we have, maybe it's something I can do, and I have time for like 3 to 5 hours. I have this week for that, and I'll pass it to Marina.
Yes, okay. So I think I'll be talking to Silke this week. So I can take the XDAO and try to understand more from there. So I would say again, maybe 5 hours.
Great. Anya, can you go now? Lawrence is typing.
If you were saying something, but I think you were muted.
Yeah, you were muted. We couldn't hear you.
I guess I can go next. Wasn't really anticipating to put a lot of hours, but I can reserve like 2-3 hours per week next week. Again, depending on what needs to be done. That's pretty much how much time I have.
Great. Griff, are you sharing your screen with the issues from GitHub so we can go over them? And as we go over them, we will review the ones that are already that we have been working on, and we can explain the rest that still need someone to jump into them and see if anyone wants to take them. You're mute.
Thank you. So yeah, the first one that's actually done is create an onboarding guide for the legal working group. It sounds like this got done by Livia, and she just added a paragraph at the end of the manifesto with some links. Does that feel done?
Right.
Done
I
to
think
Santi?
that should be we can close that one.
Nice. So good to close issues. Boom. Okay, so what's in progress? So documenting how we can use the Common Stack Association for legal protection. Basically, Santi came to the call. We handed this over to Chris, and Chris is willing to kind of take the lead, and so that I don't have to lead it, but I will be working very closely with it. Basically, the Common Stack Association has a legal protection for everyone who builds this software. It's written in our statutes that like our goal is to build this software and also nurture a community of people who will steward commons from the early stages. With the Common Stack Association, we can't actually. Well, anyway, I need to document this a little bit better, but it pretty much covers the hatchers and the best that we can, and the people who build, all the people who have impact hours. So the Common Stack Association should be able to cover those people.
Griff, can you slightly give a little explanation of how we are intending to do that? We're intending to every hatcher become a member of the association through a little purchase, like one die, and once they do the purchase, they automatically become members of the association, and they can be under the umbrella of it.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. There are certain terms. We have terms of the Common Stack Association. The Common Stack Association was basically built just to do this, to protect the launch of a commons. And we will require everyone who ends up with TDC tokens from the hatch, they will need to be Common Stack members. And then as a member of that association, they're protected from their role of building the stuff, but they're not really protected from their role of co-vesting or like depositing funds in the smart contract. What we can do, though, and what we've done with the association is basically make an agreement that if any member, when acting in aligned with the values of the Common Stack Association, if any member runs into legal issues, we will support them up to $10,000 of legal fees. It's not necessarily insurance. It's more like a mandate of the association, for lack of a better word, that we will support people who have, if anyone has legal issues, up to a certain extent, and it's also part of the social agreement. And so the hatchers are hatching the organization as individuals. They receive tokens. They might receive profits. That's all on them. But at least the Common Stack Association can protect them the best of our abilities. And yeah, we will require everyone to have to send one die and sign our statutes and agree to our statutes to become a member. And then those fees will end up being membership fees that we can use to pay Common Stack people's salaries and stuff like that.
Quick question.
Sorry, Greg. I guess what we are right now is in the process
Griff,
of writing
sorry, Santi.
these statutes.
So this is going to be pre-hatch.
Yes, this has to all happen pre-hatch.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
And as I understand, we are in the process of writing the statutes with the lawyers. Is that correct?
We've had 3 back and forths with them, and we're on the last one. We just needed, there were just a couple of changes that we were trying to push forward, making it so that legal entities can be part of the DAF as opposed to just humans, and or like confirming that that's possible, and a few other things, or just a couple other small things. But for the most part, the statutes are written, and our Swiss lawyer, Raf, who works with Patrick, not Schwarzenegger, but you guys know who I'm talking about, Patrick from the Ethereum Foundation, and he's a pretty big name in the Swiss legal crypto space. And his face is on the Common Stack website. Those guys are our legal advisors, and they're willing to put their face on our website. That was the big thing. That was the linchpin. It's like, listen, you have to put your face on our website, and then we'll trust your legal opinion.
Okay, sounds great. All right, so Chris is gonna take care from now on about on that issue. So hopefully we might be able to invite him to our next week meeting and get the latest news directly from him.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, so what's the other one? Next one.
Next one was ANJ. Well, at least I have it here. And I made some updates in some docs. But basically, I had a conversation with Maria about what their strategy was with ANJ, which ANJ is...
Can you explain ANJ for those who don't know what it is?
ANJ is the token for Aragon Court. They're actually in a very interesting situation now because they're trying to remove ANJ for ANT, but that's not the conversation. Basically, ANJ is very interesting to us because we're straight up forking the ANJ code. We're using almost the exact same strategy that Aragon used for ANJ. So when they with ANJ, you get this token, and that token gives you the ability to be a juror in a dispute in Aragon Court, and they have a token economic system for it. But the main thing is that people put in ANT, and they get into a bonding curve, and they get ANJ tokens out of them, just like how people will put in XDAI into a bonding curve and get TEC tokens out of them for our use case. So they have legal terms, and I went through them and reviewed them with Maria. We need to have a follow-up on our conversation, but the document where I was taking notes is linked in the GitHub issue, as well as the terms and conditions. And basically, their strategy is like, okay, Aragon 1 is kind of like the Common Stack Association. Sorry, the Aragon Foundation is kind of like the Common Stack Association. So they can protect the people who are initializing the system. But after that, here are the terms that people will have to agree to when you buy and sell into the bonding curve. And one of the interesting things that they have here is that they do not give a legal entity, a legal identity. Their legal strategy is to not give a legal identity to the people who are buying and selling in the bonding curve. They say their strategy, whether it's right or wrong, is that if it's actually harder to go against the people who are buying and selling into the bonding curve if you don't have a legal entity, and that it's not a common enterprise. It's just people hanging out in, playing poker together almost, right? Like they're just people that are, there's a financial game being played, but they're not really in a common enterprise is their argument. And that's what it says in that, at least that's what they're trying to do. But that being said, they still use the terms and conditions to protect that non-legal entity. So they have, even though the non-legal entity, the Aragon Network DAO, is separate from the Aragon Foundation, they still have certain phrases in there that say the Argon Network DAO is not liable for any loss, damage, blah, blah, blah. The Argon Network DAO is, you know, not liable for this and that. Like they try to protect it anyway. So they also have some really interesting phrases like the ANJ token cannot be used for any other purpose other than participating as in the Argon court as a juror. Like here's the purpose, you know? And if you're trying to make money, well, you know, that's not really the purpose here. Even though you may earn rewards by acting as a juror, you shall not become a juror if your sole intention is to obtain such rewards. So they have some really interesting things here that I highlighted in this doc, and I need to follow up more with Maria on it. But it's an interesting strategy just to say, well, the TE Commons is the TE Commons. It is what it is. Everyone's participating at their own risk. And we're not going to create a shell legal entity to protect you. We're just going to, like, it's a general partnership if that's what people think it is. But hey, you enter these terms and conditions, you're going to have to fight that cause in Switzerland is basically their strategy. Like, you know, so I don't know. I don't know how that will work. It didn't seem like Maria was all that confident about it, but it was like, okay, well, this is what we're doing.
And you are your strategy would be to take the same approach for the bonding curve, right?
Well, definitely take a lot of what they have. I mean, there's so much gold there in their terms and conditions that I don't have questions about. Just like lots of text that is obvious what we want in there. You know, they had Swiss lawyers that wrote all this, and there's all the classic like, hey, you're participating in a crypto economic system, and there may be losses, there may be hacks, there may be blah blah blah. That's all written out here, so we should definitely.
Risks are there. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the risks are written there. That's the same thing. Okay. Is there any other, you know, DAO organization, or whatever, that might be similar to that one that we can also look into?
Absolutely. There are several.
The most similar one, because I think that this is really good that you're looking into one that is connected to the Swiss law. So this is Aragon, and it's you. I don't know if anyone, because the DAO is not Swiss law.
Can I make an observation? Aragon Court, their system is actually based on a concept called shilling points, and that's very good for determining true or false facts. What is not so good at is like handling people interactions, because they had the situation themselves where they gave up funds to a grantee who did not deliver, and then they actually did not go through their own process of using the court, but actually are going through Swiss litigation. At least it was about a month ago. So I just make the point that, you know, it is a mechanism, but I'm part of LexDAO, and our system is what we call alternative dispute resolution. You know, you buy so many hours and you get someone who sort of mediates disputes. So Aragon Court is okay for things like factual stuff, but it's not so good for human stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but are we talking here about the dispute resolution part, or just the terms and conditions and how this is kind of?
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking at Aragon Court as a system, more just like, hey, they put out a token with a bonding curve, they're a Swiss legal entity, we're connected to them, we're even using their code base. So it seemed like a really easy win to get some research and some data out of it. I don't think I have any other Swiss bonding curves.
The guys that are doing bonding curves for research, what is their name again?
Bonding curves for research. There's PrimeDAO. Bonding curves for research.
I'll look it up and then I'll let you know. But I think it was in the document that we had.
Hmm. Well, I'm not sure. I can't remember who they are, but I will say that Dr. Lau, I did take your Aragon litigation comment and turned it into an issue and put a response there, and I will ask Maria about it for more. And as far as other organizations, I think it was Marina, other organizations. I think PrimeDAO is being investigated right now by Ruben and Livia, and obviously very excited to hear what DXDAO has done, even if they are not, a Swiss entity. It's all pretty much a guess, and what strategies if they have any good strategies, they didn't do KYC on their users, for instance, right? Did they? And PrimeDAO is not doing KYC either, which is really interesting. How do they justify that?
Exactly, but it was an interesting collaboration between DAOs and Gnosis. So it's also how the responsibility at the beginning was on each side.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
What was the litigation issue?
The litigation issue is, I made this here. Aragon originally had a network DAO, and they were using ANT token holders could signal basically if they supported, funding things, and then the Aragon Association, Swiss Association, would execute on those proposals. They also filtered the proposals before they would go to the vote of the people, right? And so a group called Autark, who I'm very good friends with, they made a proposal to receive, it was somewhere around $1.6 million to work as a dev team for 2 years. It was their second proposal after the first one was, they felt a success. And then they, Aragon basically, well, I kind of write it out here. Aragon sort of was like, yeah, this whole network DAO thing isn't really great. Also, the Flock program of decentralizing our dev team isn't really working as well as we'd like. So we're going to try it. So they reviewed all the agreements they had with dev teams, and the Aragon Association did. And what do you know? They still felt the Aragon one was a great dev team. And they also thought that OneHive is a decent dev team, although they had no formal agreements with them, really. And OneHive, Luke worked for Aragon at the time, so Aragon 1. So then basically anyone who didn't work for Aragon 1 kind of got kicked out, just to say it, from one perspective, and including Autark, who had a real claim and a contract with the Aragon Association for multi-years and millions of dollars. And so they had a dispute about how the contract should be ended, because according to Autark, basically they were offered a very small compensation for the commitment that was created, and they didn't agree to the offer. And so then Aragon was like, well, we're not paying you until you agree to an offer. And so then they had no choice really but to go to court about it, and including the court of public opinion, this hit Twitter. And then and then they settled out of court with an NDA. But the main thing here is that there was a contract with terms around the agreement between the association and and Autark, who requested a proposal, and those terms weren't clear enough, apparently. Or the association or Autark didn't believe that they wanted to follow them. So I think this kind of just shows that we need to have clear proposals, clear terms and conditions for the people who request proposals. And yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna keep working with Maria on that issue, right, Griff?
I'm going to ask Maria about it today, and hopefully just close it because it's just some research. I don't know. I think we already know that we need terms and agreement conditions for people who propose.
Okay. And how are we going? Go ahead, man.
I don't actually believe that just the terms and conditions are actually enough. These might be open for a longer time because it might serve as a really, really good learning experience as well. Needs to review the contract that they had in place and to find out how both parties might actually protect themselves better, how these disputes might be better managed. And I'm not sure if you're going to get enough information from Maria as well, but learning from them, what is it that went wrong, not so much from a legal perspective, but more or less from a communication perspective, is probably going to be very useful for the future of the token engineering as well. I don't actually believe, like honestly, that this was really a legal issue at all.
Definitely. Well, yeah, it's a contract dispute. I mean, just to be frank, Argonne Association made an agreement with Autark, and they chose to not follow the agreement.
Right, but then I mean, whenever you create an agreement, parties always have the freedom to, withdraw from the agreement. And usually for that reason, you usually have the clause that says, well, if you are withdrawing from the agreement, this is going to be, the payment that you have to make, as the circumstances are so severe that you kind of had to withdraw from the agreement, that was like a vis majeure or something like that. But otherwise, I mean, this clause is basically there to provide you with certainty of how much you're going to lose or how much it's going to cost you if you actually breach the agreement. And that might be one clause that we also put in our agreements or our contracts. But otherwise, again, contracts are always being breached, or there's always some sort of, things that are happening around them. So that's why I think that this might not really be so much of a legal dispute than thing that really pertains to the communication and management of the team. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point, and I'll try to bring that up with Maria today about the communications around it. And and we should definitely have it there. Depending on the strategy that we take with the TE Commons, it may not be so applicable because the agreement was between the Argonne Association and Autark, and depending on if we have a legal entity for the TE Commons DAO or not. If we have a legal entity for the TE Commons DAO, then it would be very applicable. If we end up saying, oh, it's just a DAO, a general partnership, play at your own risk, then we would probably go more towards Coda's law. The money is moving. And there's another issue that's relevant, or there's another thing that happened that's relevant to this, and that's with OneHive. Santi's very familiar with that, where some people with tokens, honey tokens, influential people with honey tokens said, yeah, we'll give you this bug bounty, worth this much, apply for it. And then they decided not to vote for that bug bounty to be filled later. And so then there became a dispute over that. And that's the kind of stuff we also have to be careful about not promising anything and saying that, the DAO is the final decider of whether or not these things and all agreements that happen beforehand probably are moot because the execution is in the conviction voting DAO. I don't know. Did you have anything on that, Santi?
No, that's what happened, I guess. The guy thought that he was going to be getting paid this much amount, and later on they thought they were being cheated. They paid part of that, and they refused to pay the rest. And the guy ended up putting a proposal to get paid, but it never went through, and that's how things finally ended. I think he was more a cheater than a guy really finding a bug on the code. But anyway, at the end of the day, it was just an internal dispute. It was between them both, and nothing came out of there.
Okay, so that's story time. Let's keep going on some of these issues. figure out the blockers for what is stopping the common stack from being ready, I think I can just assign that to Chris, who's not here, but Chris and I will take this one on. Investigating EU new regulation. I don't know if that's a priority for our next 2 months. What do you guys think?
Looked into it. It comes into force in about 2 or 4 years' time. So if you're already up and running, the rules won't apply.
Yeah, I don't think this is a priority.
Okay, so then we'll put it in done, but only because I don't want to close it. Okay, get in touch with DAO Research Group, Marina mentioned, and get their document. So I did talk to them through some media, but I lost track of the thread. Marina, do you know anything about this?
I connected you there on the email, and I think they suggested a time frame for your call, or you did.
I think it was today at 6 p.m., but I never saw you answering that email, Griff.
I do not do email really well. I am so sorry, guys.
I know they're emailing people. Let me check because I have it in my CC.
Yeah, I check email like 3 times a week, you know, or when someone tells me to. So that's cool. I'm glad this issue came up. Marina, do you use GitHub very often?
No, but I can do that.
Do you have a GitHub handle?
Yeah.
Okay, I will add you to the team. Does anyone else want to be added to the team so we can assign issues to them?
Yes, Griff, they suggested today, no, November 20th, Friday at 6.
Okay, great. We might want to try to get access to their document before that, I guess.
Yeah, I can ask that if this is possible.
Okay, cool. And then, does anyone have a GitHub handle that, like Anya or Marina, if you want to be assigned to an issue?
I too.
I think everyone else. Oh, actually, Dr. Lau, I don't know if you're in here. Lawrence.
Yep, I have a GitHub, same handle.
Yeah, there it is. Don't hack me, guys, please. I'm just kidding. Oh, looks like I already sent something to Marina Unlocked. That's great. Unlocked.com, that's great. So you either can add it via email or you can go to github.com/tecommons and accept the invitation.
Add me, legitimizer. Or just use Anya at unlock.com as well.
Oh, cool. You guys are both using this awesome... Okay, cool. So I made you both members of the association, and once you accept, I'll be able to actually like assign you to an issue. But Marina, you say that you will try to get early access to the document. Then let's go back here. Investigate DXDAO. Marina, you also said you'd do that one?
Yeah.
Cool. And any details, any notes or anything, it'd be great if you just throw them in the issue so we can track everything here. Investigate PrimeDAO. Do you have any info on that, Santi?
Yeah, actually, Ruben sent. He said he couldn't make it for the call today, but he sent a document that I linked in the issue. He was actually doing some research, and apparently, PrimeDAO is under the hood of Curaçao Association, which follows the Curaçao law, which is not the same law that the Netherlands law, although it's a Netherlands territory, and it happens to be quite an interesting type of legal entity. He sent it in the document, which right there. There is a link to the foundation in Curaçao and the different legal aspects that kind of association can deal with, especially ICOs. That was one of the interesting things. But as Lawrence said, entities from this type of jurisdictions are not very well seen from bigger areas of the world like the European Union or probably the US. So, in one hand, it's a nice structure over there, but in the other hand, I don't know if we want to deal with an entity based in those territories.
They're not doing KYC, right?
They are not doing KYC.
And do you know if their foundation is there as a mandate to support PrimeDAO? So does that mean PrimeDAO is still basically a general partnership or a non-legal entity, for lack of a better word?
As far as I could find out, and probably Ruben will be able to tell us better next week, but there's several entities that belong to that foundation. It's not just one, and that apparently gives them a much better, position in the event of any legal issue. But I don't know.
I'm also gonna have a call with Luke Weber probably next week, so I can get more information about what legal entities they're using. So far, I know that they were talking about Stitching Company, which is like a cooperative in Netherlands. A very interesting form as well. More information about that.
Cool. Don't see on here yet, but okay, so it sounds like you might have some extra information that you could add to this issue too, Anya? After your call? It would be awesome if you just throw some thoughts in here so we can capture it and don't lose it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Anya. Oh, come on. Won't let me comment? Okay. And we talked about that one. Okay, so we have actually Zeptimus. This might be a good one. And did anyone look at this one? Define a few legal use cases to make sure we have a clear solution for these worst case scenarios.
We started talking about some of them on Discord.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch here. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Lawrence. Sorry, Lawrence, did you have anything to say on this issue?
Yeah. What I need to find out from you or others is that what is the sort of likelihood of each of these events happening, and then their possible impact. Because that's how you create a legal risk matrix.
That's nice. Okay, so adding to the scenarios these things. Okay, well maybe would you guys be interested in having a hack session where we really just dive into making at least 10 of these issues and kind of give each one like 3 minutes to talk about, and then move on, and maybe we can just pile this out in like a 1 hour call.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool.
Septimus, you want to say something?
No, I just raised my hand to say I'm up to. I had a question from before, but I don't know if that's the moment or now. So I think I'll save it to the end of the call.
Okay. Well, we're at the end of the call, but I'll throw you on here too, Zep. Like, oh man, you're not in here, Zep?
No, I'm not in. Yeah, I will create now when we finish the call.
You don't have a GitHub?
No. I actually.
Oh man.
I actually have panicked to GitHub. Like, yeah, long story, but
that's okay.
I will create an account like when we finish. But yeah.
Yeah, and add 2FA too if you can. Add two-factor authentication, and you're in so many groups. I'd love to give you the power of owner, so that you can do other things.
I'll do the question I have was I was reading somewhere in OneHive, like for example, there is a proposal, and for example, a lot of friends get the proposal post. I hear my echo. And the thing is, like, you do a proposal, and then when you finish that, you do that proposal again and again and again. And I was reading like it has something to be with Celeste, and I don't know if that's a legal aspect we could work on, like to avoid that.
Yeah, that seems like a soft gov. That's probably more of a soft gov solution there, where we somehow like have the ability to flag repeat proposals or proposals that are not meeting our like quality of some sort. But I think that's a really good issue we can even write down. I mean, it's something that we should write down in this. If you want to, I would definitely say that's something that's worth a scenario that's already happened that we should probably put in here.
Awesome.
Or someone repeating the same proposal twice once it gets funded already. And I'm not looking at anyone here.
Yeah, I may have already done that. It's true. I admitted it though. It was a bug. That was a bug. Anyway, that was a test too. Come on. But okay, so Lawrence, you're in Australia, right?
Yes, Perth.
So it would be really good to make something easy for you to show up to. I'm in Ecuador and everyone else is in Europe, so we might have to do a doodle for this, for a call on this. I can try to put together a doodle for a call on this next week, because this is a really high priority issue. It would be nice to just have these things called out and then put this down. And I'm happy to make a doodle to make sure that we can find a time that works for the most possible people.
Everything.
Okay, so that's still in the to-do. Well, actually, it's in progress, huh? Okay, legal onboarding document, is that done? Or not really? Something?
We could just leave it there. leave it there
Okay.
for the time being.
So there are a few other groups that could be investigated. Looks like Dr. Lau is looking at judicial identity. That's really interesting. There's also investment clubs, which is kind of related to judicial identity. This is an entity that exists in the U.S. where you can basically. I have a theory on this that if we forced people to vote before they were able to interact, like with the bonding curve, that they had to vote and set a vote, then we could actually qualify as an investment club, which would be interesting. There's another U.S. entity called Fairmint that does exactly what we do, basically, and they just say it's a security, and that's how it is. And then there's also Nexus Mutual, which has a bonding curve and did a launch very similar to us as well. And all of these can be investigated. And there's also community interest organizations that Lawrence came up with. Does anyone want to take on any of these? Is that a curiosity?
I mean, I would like to try. I don't know how good it will be, the job, but I don't know. I would like to put some time this weekend on investigating. I never did that before. I don't know if that's okay or not. But I can try and just give what I can do during the weekend.
So I know nothing about Nexus Mutual. It would be very interesting to hear what they did, and if you were down to like
I can do that.
Were for the insurance, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. I think that they have like a UK insurance company or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at this.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. This is why it's awesome to have these things in GitHub. I don't even know who this is. Does anyone know who this is? Joshua Weil?
No.
Geez, he wrote an essay on it. This is incredible. Well, I would still say, Zep, if you want to look at this a little bit, but looks like we found a magic here.
I see. Yeah, it's awesome.
Wow, that's super cool. Okay. Okay, well, we only have 3 minutes left, so I think we can just leave it for closing thoughts. If that's okay with everyone. Is there any last... Well, actually, that's what closing thoughts are for anyway. So thank you guys for letting me rant about what's going on in this space. I'm really sorry for taking over the meeting, Santi. But it was fun for me, at least. I hope it was fun for you guys. And I'll pass it to Santi.
No, I thank you, Griff. I'm having issues with the technology today, as you guys can see. So hopefully, at least voice was working fine. And let's see what we get next week. It'd be great to have that doodle, so we can find the best time to meet on discussing all those cases that we can think of, and from there see what's the progress for next week. I'll pass it to Septimus.
I think that was a great goal. I had fun, and I will review that definitely, and and challenge myself. That's going to be awesome. And I'll pass it to Anja.
Anja Ganja. Everybody likes that name. It's Anya, by the way. But anyhow, it was a great call. Very informative. I think we're all getting, or at least myself, I'm getting used to the GitHub. I've never seen that form before, and I kind of love it, especially because it's really resourceful, and what we just discovered is kind of awesome. So I look forward to have more people adding stuff on our issues. That looks dope already. So yeah. That's my closing. I'll call Marina.
I think that whatever we are talking about, it's very valuable, and I'm thinking if anybody in the space has done something like that, like, you know, comparing how different DAOs are regulated or whatever their strategy is. So I think that could be very beneficial for the community, and it's quite exciting.
What I'd like to know is that do
Yeah, I'll pass it
have
to
any hard deadlines? I mean, is there any requirement for something to come up by a certain date or what?
Sorry, Lawrence, can you say that again?
Are there any deadlines that we need to meet, the legal working group needs to meet?
Yeah. So I'll repeat what he said. Dr. Lau, next time try to get a louder mic, or get your face next to the mic. But he said that he's curious if there's any deadlines, and I'll be honest. So legal deadline is like basically not to slow anything down. We have specific deliverables which are not completely outlined yet, but but they're terms and conditions for basically every interaction with the DAO being written out before the launch. The launch is likely to be, I mean, we're really still shooting for December, but it's probably unlikely. We'll have better understanding when we get the full roadmap put together, but it's looking like it's going to be mid-January. Just the holidays, you know, slow things down. So we could have, if holidays didn't exist, I bet the end of December would be great. But reality is it's probably going to be mid-January. And so we need to have terms and conditions for people everywhere that they need to be, and have a full understanding of, you know, what we're protecting and what we're not, and be able to inform the hatchers before the launch. So we will do a better job at making sure that those deliverables are very clear and explicit, and the deadlines. You know, tech deadlines really don't exist, man. It's too bad. But I think mid-January is the best guess. Anyway, I think everyone went, right? So
yeah, I just would like to remind Marina if she can get that document from the research group at Utrecht University, so we at least can take a look at it before next Friday meeting with them. And Griff, will you be able to answer these guys and tell them that's fine, and we can meet here on our Discord channel? That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Santi. Thank you, guys.
Bye.